What's up guys, Ty Hansen here, aka Finch0, the creator of Millennium Exile. Now, the last video that I uploaded, I know that was 20 minutes long, but that was a 2017 recap of everything that happened to the project in the entire year, so my apologies for the long last video. These ones that I'm going to start making now, they're actually going to be much shorter. But that being said, that video did actually give me the idea of what kind of content I wanted to upload to this channel. So, without further ado, what you're going to start seeing on this channel now, weekly or every couple of days, I'm going to start uploading videos talking about specific pieces of artwork that I've had drawn for the project. This is going to give us a much closer look to the artwork, much more zoomed in than you'd probably be able to see on the social media channels and whatnot. And we're going to discuss the characters in the artwork and the powers they're going to be demonstrating throughout the various pieces that we're going to be looking at. Not to mention, but it's also going to serve as a bit of a shout out to the artists that have drawn a lot of these pieces. Psst, spoiler alert, a lot of them is Harry. Okay guys, so as I mentioned at the start of this video, I am endeavouring to keep these videos around the 3 to 5 minute range. Hopefully this one might be around that as well. I don't know until I get into editing. But this one is going to be a little bit longer compared to the rest of the videos that are to come, mainly because we're going to be looking at 3 separate pictures that are all put together in the one, and we're going to be discussing the various characters. The reason I'm doing that is because, well, I'm doing this retroactively for artwork that I've already had done, but it's also going to be done for every single time I get new artwork handed into me and new artwork completed. So we'll take a look at all the new release stuff as they come through. But to tackle all this content retroactively, it's a huge undertaking, and it's all done by the same artist in the same style, so let's just jump straight into that one, shall we? Okay guys, so let's get straight into it. This piece here is amazing, to say the least. This piece here, it's a three-piece artwork. It's a very special piece, and it's a very expensive piece that I've had drawn. But it was drawn individually 3 different times, once for each character basically, and then we combine them all together as PNGs with a background, and we'll go into a little bit about it all as we go through. So if we take a look right in the dead center there, let's go straight down the guts of the whole picture, we are seeing Vincent Klein. Now, Vincent, of course, is the main character of the story, and here we see him in what's called his 2.0 character outfit set. The 2.0 character outfit sets are really... They're the second outfits that we see throughout the story. Basically they do a costume change mid-season, and they do them for various reasons, and at different times the different characters go through them. This is Vincent's second outfit. So he's ditched his iconic red jacket, and now he's also just gone for a bit of the sleeveless black shirt with the tight black pants. It's really revealing his arms now, and that's important because there's not too much sense in just tearing through a jacket over and over and over again whenever he utilizes the wrath. So he's always creating weaponry out of his arms and his hands, so why not ditch the jacket altogether, go for a tighter fit, something that's going to do well in battle. Now, that glorious red scarf that you see draping over his neck and out off the back of him with the twin tails, that is, of course, a scarf that's given to him by his love interest in the show, whose name is Azuki. We don't have any artwork of her just yet. However, I am planning to get it done very, very soon. And when it does get done, we'll do a video on it. So, anyways, let's talk about the elephant in the room on this picture, the gauntlet. That gauntlet there is what's known as Abyss. Abyss is, of course, Vincent's Overdrive Plus. Now, throughout the story, the Lord of each Meister class has what's called as an Overdrive ability. The weapons in our story are known as Grails. It's where they release their Grail's truest form in its highest potential, and it's absolutely overwhelmingly destructive. In this video, we see Vincent sporting a brand new gauntlet. Now this gauntlet, spoiler alert, he loses his arm partway through the series, probably about around the halfway point of the story. He has his arm chopped off from the elbow down, and he initially tries to recreate it using the Wrath. However, he does realise that up until now, he's just been using these non-complicated solid parts that he's been making with the Wrath, like a sword or a shield or armour. Even though the Nightmare form of armour does have a bit of a complicated look, there's no real moving parts to worry about throughout it. It's all just overlaid over the top of his own body. So his own body is the complex part that's underneath the Wrath, not the Wrath itself. So up until this point, he hasn't really made anything with any real complexity to the way that it works and its inner movement. So when he tries to recreate his own arm out of the Wrath, it basically fails. So he goes away, he studies anatomy, and he gets a very, very intimate knowledge of the human arm. And using the Wrath now, and through training and focus and a whole bunch of trial and error, he does eventually recreate bone, muscle tissue, and everything else like that with the Wrath, including skin. And he just basically recreates his own clawed Wrath arm made out of the Wrath itself. And what you can see here with this gauntlet is now that he has this false arm, he no longer has to worry about the blowback of, like, the backfire of his Overdrive Plus at 100%. He can now put in his full power into that arm, and it can hold it, it can withstand it, because it is artificial muscle, artificial tissue, artificial bone, covered in a thick plate of armor, and the whole thing is much more sturdy than the normal human body would be. Jumping on over to the left side of the image, we have Lan. Now, Lan, in this image, it's really quite a big weapon that he's holding there, and we will go into it. Again, this is the 2.0 costume series that you're seeing of Lan here. He's ditched the long, big cloak for something more tight-fitting. We do see a lot of the characters going for the tighter-fit clothing line down the track throughout the story, just because it's more convenient battle attire. But what you're seeing here is basically the Ravenblade's true form, and this again is his Overdrive Plus. This is a giant lance. It's still a giant sword, so to speak, but basically what you're seeing there is it engulfs his arm from the elbow down. Like, his arm actually goes into it and holds onto it, and there's like a handle in there that he holds onto. Towards the back there, it's a massive thruster. So it builds up all this energy, and it just releases it in the form of a massive burst of energy, which basically means he can take flight. However, he has no mobility, like no control over any sort of direction that he'll go in. It's a straight line shot only, so it's great for thrusting. With the blade itself, it's actually two blades crossed over, so in a similar fashion that you'd see the point of a Phillips head screwdriver. So what happens there is those two blades come down to a point, and they basically spin at such an ultra-high frequency, like at such an ultra-high speed, and it almost creates something of a bit of a drill. Then, darting over to the right-hand side, it's everyone's favourite twin-gun-wielding badass Zero. Now, this was actually the first one that I had drawn, and by far, I still think it's one of the most effective ones, mainly because of that giant freaking scythe that you're seeing. So, with Zero, again, this is his Overdrive Plus. This is known as the Ragnarok. Zero's initial Overdrive release is in the form of red wires. So, for a projectile-classed melee lord, it's extremely unlikely and it's extremely rare for a non-projectile weapon to become of its true form. Like, it shouldn't be transforming into something like a bladed weapon. But this, again, the Overdrive Pluses are a representation of the true soul of the Meister themselves and their capabilities and what they're comfortable with. Zero, of course, is an assassin. He's a projectile class lord of the Meister class, but he's an assassin. He's extremely efficient with all forms of different kinds of combat and all forms of weaponry. So when he does his overdrives, they change. It changes from the twin pistols to these red wires that can cut through anything. And then when he unlocks his Overdrive Plus, those red wires go into the blade. So if you look in there, we'll zoom in here. If you look there, there's actually these spindles, these 4 spindles on the end of the scythe, and that's where all the red wires are actually connected to. That blade itself is they're actually red wires that are in the shape of the scythe's blade, and they're extremely sharp. They can change their shape and their consistency almost like the Wrath can. And so, like, during a fight, he can swing it around and it can make contact with other things and slice through things as pure form of raw energy, or he can actually unravel them at will, and that can all just split out into the wires, and he can actually just tear through things and shred things as he swings the scythe around. Now, The background itself was actually drawn by a separate artist as well. We'll talk about him really quickly. We'll see some more videos on this guy to come up later on down the track. But the artist of the sky, the background image that you're seeing there, was once a good friend of mine who used to draw very heavily for the Millennium Exile project by the name of Dan, also known as aka Danzilla. He is an absolutely talented artist for days. He's no longer drawing with the project though, he just got really busy, but he is an absolutely fantastic guy. Definitely head on over to his Deviantart page. I'll send a link down below for you to check him out. However, the genius that created this image that you're seeing here in its entirety with the characters themselves is none other than Nick Silva, aka Niku Senpai. He has a Twitch account that will be in the links down below. Please guys, go over there and show him some love. Hit that follow button, check him out. He streams really regularly with his commissions. He's also got a very, very interactive chat. And an interactive in-chat game system where it's basically you build up XP, you fight bosses, you win rewards. It's one of the more unique and interactive chats that I've ever seen on Twitch. I'd highly recommend that you check him out. He's an absolute great guy. He's one of the most genuine and friendly people that you'll ever meet. The dude is so sweet. He almost gave me diabetes, but he's a champion. You need to check out his art. He is super talented. Anyways, guys, that brings us to the close of this video. Again, sorry if it has been a little bit too long. They will come down in size. Understandably, it was only because we had to talk about 3 separate people, like 3 separate characters in this piece. So from now on, we should be just tackling one at a time, and we'll go over the powers, the character, a little bit about what's going on in the image. And yeah, that's pretty much everything that we've got to talk about in this video, guys. So until the next time, take it easy.